welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Rod, Twodwazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, JMels24, Unimento, M, Iron26, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKinnon, Retro Bill, More Books, Kenna Bear, Fibre Oats, Bogey, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Mel B Styles, Troy Shuker, Harry Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Nealand, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
We got nothing. We got nobody coming in here. What do we got? The best bet is maybe Dave's arguments from 2016, where he was just petulantly ad homing. It was like I think Dave is better than that. I think he's grown as a human being since then. You know what I mean? And I just think it's sad that everybody is sort of relegated to like, okay, this is this. Like, and I wish just people would sort of stand up for like, hey, no, we're doing this here today, right now, like not tomorrow. And that's why Nathan Oakley wins.
Morning.
So
Morning, Nathan.
good morning.
It's actually afternoon here, but morning for you.
For me, it's definitely the early morning. So I'm not usually here. So I got a couple good friends humoring me, and I appreciate it. So thank you very much. But seriously, like I'm in the trenches every day. I'm talking to these people, and the best that they got is that the elevation angle story starts from the center of Earth. They're gonna say, "You got a lot of stories to tell me. You got a lot of stories." And I was like, "Well, the only story I got is that the maps are measured level, and the level is a horizontal condition, and I don't understand why you would be upset with me." And it comes to find out that they don't believe that. They will tell you to your face that they believe a horizontal is parallel to the plane of the horizon, but then they will give you a cartoon of two intersecting planes through a sphere and tell you that that reification fallacy is somehow associated with their objective reality of measuring an angle and getting an elevation angle. I was like, where did your horizontal come from, where you got your angle measurement from? And it's just complete back and forth confusion. And that's the best that the glove has, is feigning incomprehension of what geometric principles are, of what a horizontal is, what an angle is, and what a 9-degree angle is, or anything between that.
Yeah, this is causing them quite a lot of pain at the moment. They don't have an answer to it, and I know that's what you're detailing. But that's a big problem for a lot of our opponents. So, yes, they don't come here to do it anymore. The time slot is such that you've got to want to put in some effort if you're over the pond to come here and do that at this time. And the skank and file baltards, as QE calls them, aren't that keen to get up early in the morning to come and argue. Good. You know, if you've got to go out of your way to do it,
No,
good.
sir. No, sir. I am here, and I have brought them. Remember, righteous. I brought you. I had the person. He was here, and he was checking in, and he checked in. He made sure he made it in, and he's feckless. He's feckless and convictionist. They lost it. He couldn't come and stuff because this is my contention, because I say, like, I'm already past the finish line and you're asking me to race. Like, you've already conceded the horizontal. Like, what do you think we're debating? The debate was the horizontal and you conceded. You lose. It's done. You're finished.
Yeah.
And this is the perpetual problem that everybody you'll find on nonsense. I'm an Instagram boy, right? But same thing with the TikTok. That everybody thinks they got it because they're measuring the opposite side. Oh, the flat Earth can't get an angle because my opposite side. If if the zenith were to lower an angle, what were I to do? Good heavens, what would I to do if it was for the zenith angle to have diminished in my side? Oh, good heavens. Well, guess what? That's exactly what we're measuring. Difference in level. We are measuring an optical phenomenon of all receding parallel lines converging on the horizontal as orthogonal lines. It's a very simple thing. You stand in a what is it? This is the grandiose thing you say. You talk about the bricks and the diminishing angle of the bricks. And where I think it confuses them is where you bring the diminishing bricks down to like a lower level. And so when I talk about the diminishing democultation of I would say that it would be like seeing a rose bush, right? And you could see the bee on the rose bush up close. As you grow in distance, that occultation, that diminishing angular size, that resolution of the bee will diminish with the angle, and it's directly relative. But exactly, we're not trying to tell people what the horizon is, but it is a simple method. Like, look at the bricks. Here's a bricks. Look at the brick in the middle of the wall. Don't look at the brick at the bottom of the wall. Look at the brick at the middle of the wall. Go back, 200 miles, and you don't see the brick in the middle of the wall whatsoever. And there's no argument about anything else, about some, refraction, lumen, anything like that. It's a simple diminishing angle Rayleigh criterion, and it just debunks people's thoughts that things can't disappear with distance, because it's an optical effect that's apparent and obvious.
Perfect. Other than
It's like
when people say things can't disappear, that's a burden of proof reversal fallacy engineered into your explanation. You did so well up until that point too, because you're like, I'm not trying to explain to people what the horizon does. In other words, it's not your burden to prove what the horizon is. You're not using it as a claim. But when you say what it won't do. No, the positive claim is that it's a physical edge for them. That's it. Once you debunk that, you can, and we can, explain what is happening at the horizon with the limited angle against the deck. So when you talk about the brick in the middle, well, you've got potentially, if the brick's some distance up in the air, an angle to the bottom and the top of that brick. So the overall angle will reduce. But when you reduce the angle against the deck, the top half reduces, and therefore the entirety of the angle reduces much quicker. Hence, you lose things from the bottom because of the limitation against the deck. But we've got no reason to explain that. I'm not using the deck and the disappearing bottom of a brick in feet or inches as a claim for flat Earth. So after the fact, when you go, no, it's not, 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet would be the limitation. That's it. That's where your Earth curve lies. That's the end of the claim for their proof that they've got that they're claiming for a globe Earth edge. Well, that's it. That's the end of the argument.
Yeah,
There's no point going forward explaining what it is.
It's the occultation. It's a very violent term. It's the occultation of their perceived view.
Right. In their model, it's an occultation based on a hill. Correct. But it isn't. You can explain.
Sad.
You can,
it's a sad,
but you shouldn't.
Facilitative affliction. And yeah, exactly. That's why I said like the brick is good, but the bee on a rose bush is better because it doesn't go from the bottom up. It goes from the center, wherever you see the bee at, and then the farther you get back, you don't see the bee, and then you don't see the leaf of the
Sure.
the rose bush.
You're kind of missing what I'm saying. You're missing what I'm saying. It's not about which is the better example.
No,
it's about us not having a burden to satisfy. So their burden is that it's a Earth curve edge. Once you demolish their burden to prove that point, and they fail, or you demolish what they've claimed to be the proof, it's not then a case of, well, what does cause the boat to disappear bottom up at the horizon? Well, I could tell you, but why would I? It's not my claim. You want to talk about the horizon, it's used to establish a horizontal baseline for navigation.
It's destroyed with the black swan. End the story.
I mean, that I really came up with that whole the bee thing, and I call it the bee thing, and it makes fun of the 9/11 thing, but it's the bee thing because it was my answer to the old school before the black swan, the old school occultation of sight that was the hyena projection, which was the Lite tower, or the tower you have there in the UK. But it was just that you're not counting the diminishing size, the diminishing angle. There's a lot of different factors that aren't even being calculated here. What are we looking at, and what are we measuring? And there was no argument to come up to it. It was just like, oh, look, it's missing because these feet are missing because of this reason. And there was no actual explanation. It was just like somehow the refracted horizon was loomed up, and then that sort of cut off your view. It was just weird, very, very weird, strange sort of observations that Ranty clung on to. And I like to talk to him now. I talk about it now because I think it's goofy stuff.
That's a good word.
But yeah,
hey, 10. Light check.
Hello.
Neil,
I've been listening.
To be sort of kind.
Hi, I've been. Yeah, I've been listening since I got on, and these are all fine. But as Nathan and this gentleman are going back and forth, hopefully everyone is realizing that if you want to discuss angle limitations, occultation, sizes, perspective, diminishing. That's fine. That's reality. That's optical. But the minute that Earth curve edge, the 1.22, which is their extraordinary claim, as Nathan always puts it, once that's debunked, we no longer live on the globe. So
That's
now
correct.
you have to put a full stop. And once you put the full stop, the guy says, well, then why is or why are things diminishing? And then at this point, it's no longer a flat earth or a round earth argument. It's why are things optically the way they are? Because you just destroyed the globe with the black swan.
Into the Greek.
I said.
Their
Just
claim
one sec.
is that Earth
Just one
curve is the
sec.
horizon.
Just one sec.
Their claim
Just one
is
sec.
the Earth curve is.
Just one sec. Can you not sit off mute into the break? You can just see you clicking and tapping and... Thank you. Go ahead, Tent. Into the break. Can you hear me?
Once Earth
Hold
curve
on,
has
hold
been
on. He's
debunked
not
at
gone
one
on
point.
mute.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
All right. Am I coming in clear, Nathan?
Yes. But no, because you can hear popping and cracking from into
Okay,
the break.
fine.
Well, the audience can't, but I can.
Gotcha. So once Earth curve has been debunked at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height and feet, which is their claim to their radius, to their observer height at different, 1 foot, 5 feet, it all works out the same in the sense that it must be a limitation where Earth curve must start at a certain point if you live on a ball. Once that has been debunked, then we no longer live on the ball. So once that argument's over, then they're going to say, well, why is or why do things behave the way they do? You say, fine, as long as you admit we don't live on the ball and we're switching the subject to optical phenomena rather than do we live on the ball. Are we good with that?
No.
You can see
No, I'm
that
not
we
good
don't
with
live
that.
on the ball with a radius of 3950.
Am I coming in clear? Bloody hell. No, I'm not good with that. No. Why would we be talking about it? I had this discussion with Adam the other day, and he gave me the
I
most
agree with
honest
Nathan.
answer. My bad. It's not like I'm in the middle of a sentence or anything. Try again.
Sorry.
I'll try for the third time. No, I'm not good with that. We're not making a claim about it. So why would we be discussing...
Well, what do you think I'm saying?
Fourth attempt. We are not
Define
making
what you mean. Well, you're not
fifth
good
attempt,
with that.
fifth
I
attempt,
never got
fifth
to
attempt
finish.
to say the same sentence. That's 5 attempts. What is going on? We're going to go for a 6th?
You interrupted my flow. That's what's going on.
Look, you asked a
You
question.
interrupted
Are you
my
good
flow.
with
You
that?
think I'm
Are you
disagreeing
good with
with you
that?
and
You
I'm
asked. Are you good with
I'm
that?
playing a role.
That's a question that I started answering.
I'm playing both roles.
The answer's no.
I wasn't asking that of you. I wasn't asking that of you. I was playing the role of the baller and me, and I never got to finish. And I actually agree with you. What's the problem here with you?
You asked a question. I started answering it, and then I took 6 attempts to get the
wasn't
same
asking you
sentence out.
that
It was only about
question.
3 more words. Now we've spent 2.5 minutes discussing the fact that I can't get an extra 2 words out of a single sentence. No.
Go ahead and finish, and then I'll come back and clean it up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not good with it because we're not making a claim about it.
Well, you and there were
7 attempts.
I agree. You didn't let me finish.
I haven't finished a sentence once in 7 attempts. 7 attempts to say one sentence. No, I'm not good with going through the wheres and wherefores of what the horizon is in that respect when there's no positive claim being made by us about it. It's a complete folly. So why would we discuss it? It's like discussing why the sun creates a red hue at the end of the day sometimes. Does it prove a flat earth? Are we debating that it proves a globe earth? No. Once you've taken apart the claim that the horizon's a physical limitation to your view, we're not making a claim in that respect. That's it. That's the end of it. So talking about diffraction limits is pointless.
Are you finished? You totally interrupted the flow of my made-up conversation between the baller and me. It was never directed for you to answer it and interrupt before I finished. So you came up with the wrong conclusion when at the end I totally agreed with what you just said and was going to get there. That's the problem. You interrupted too early.
You did ask a question, though.
The argument's over at the Black Swan. Are you good with that? That was at the baller, meaning are you good with that the ball is dead? The rest is optical phenomena, has nothing to do with what you're living on. I wasn't going to explain it to him either. I wasn't going to use it to prove anything. I mean, what are you going to prove? I mean, people don't even know what the horizon is used for the sextant. Even to this day, after 2+ years of talking about it.
Right on. That's where you need to go immediately, as opposed to diffraction limits and angular limitations. Because what's the point? Yes, you can. Yeah, we do know. And it's useful to have that in your back pocket. Here we go again. I just give up.
Nathan, there was a pause, okay? I'm sorry. It could be the internet, whatever. Just calm down a little bit here. I'm agreeing with you, but you're not agreeing with me.
Just frustrated that every time I get halfway through a sentence, someone just starts talking, and I go, "What is going on?" And then I'm told, "Oh, there's a pause." No, I'm still in the same sentence.
Okay, now I will use that same defense. As I was talking, you interrupted me. So now it happens to both of us. So let's calm down and finish up what we're all trying to convey here.
Okay. That's it. I agree with you. You could take it to the horizon, fine. Okay, we've debunked your claim about the horizon, that being that it's a limitation. So you want to talk about the horizon? Yeah, what causes the boat? I don't care. Your claim that it caused the boat to disappear when you had a physical limitation's debunked. That's it. That's the end. Meanwhile, the horizon is used to establish a level. That's my claim. You want to move on to what I claim about it? That's what I claim about it. No, I want you to tell me why boats disappear. Couldn't give a crap. It's not my claim, it's yours. We just debunked it. Let's move on. You want to still talk about why that happens? Oh, how fascinating.
Yeah, no,
Off you go on your fault. What the fuck is going on? Are you people incapable of listening to a full sentence before interjecting in the middle of it? I didn't even take breath that time. One more, I'm just going to give up on today's show. I'm so fucking pissed off with being interrupted. I listen to you all. I listen to what you've got to say. When there's a question asked, I try and answer it. I'm told I'm interrupting. Bloody hellfire. I'm in the middle of a sentence. What's your malfunction into the break? You're still off mute, by the way. Bloody hellfire. Get a grip. Just wait till you've heard the end of the statement. It means you're not listening. That's what it means. Once the claim is out of the way, their claim for the horizon's limitation, that's it. You don't have to justify anything. I'm not suggesting it's not useful to know. Because should you be put in a corner where they say it's because you don't know, you can turn around and say I do, and if it's forced upon you and you haven't got any way of getting out of it cleverly, then you have to say, oh, I do know what it actually caused by. It's just not part of my claim. Angular limitations, look at what perspective is. Who cares? Let's move on. I'm not making a claim in that regard. That's my point. I am making a claim about the horizon is about its acquisition of horizontal to navigate the ground. That's it. I'm done.
Once you debunk them with the Black Swan, it's over. I agree.
But you can move forward and make a positive claim, just not about how diffraction limits work, or angular limitations, or perspective. Because while those things are fascinating, they're the antithesis of their positive claim. Once it's debunked, you don't need to go into it. Now, we had to learn it to debunk it. Great, good for us. I see it as not surplus to requirement, just something on the shelf, a book that you might occasionally reference. Certainly not my primary claim stood at the altar, opened out in front of me in my manifesto. That's not there. The book's in a different building. The diffraction, refraction, atmospheric conditions book. None of it relates to this.
Would that building be able to be seen from a distance?
Boom. Exactly. And would it be refracted from the bottom up?
I don't know. Are you
That
making a
was
claim about it? That's the point. Who's making a
yeah.
claim about it?
Exactly.
It's a worthy thing to get annoyed about. I'm sorry to you and to 10th for being so blunt. But yes, I understand. I understand that the people who are watching will want to learn about diffraction limits and what does cause the horizon. I get it. However, if I don't point that out here and now on a show about debating the subject of flat Earth, that it's not your burden. You don't need to do that. The purpose of me saying that isn't to detract from what you're saying or say that you're wrong about diffraction limits or that it's not worth learning. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, as a skill in debate, this particular aspect of it is identifying positive claims and understanding whether or not it's yours. And at the point in this particular example that you reach the end of their claim is when their claim that the horizon limits your view because it's a hill in the way, that's Earth curve, for boats to fall over. Once that claim is undone, that's it. That's the end. Now, if you want to take that, I would take it as a useful opportunity to make your claim, your positive, strong, undebunkable, causing cognitive pain in the ballers currently. I've seen it throughout the chat. It's great. It's hilarious. You're one of the people chatting to me at the moment. You don't know how much I'm laughing on the other side of the screen while you're sharing your pain. Yeah? Your ad homs after you fail. Yeah? You all know who you are. There's many of you. Yeah. What's happening is I win. But I'm winning on home turf for you. Yeah? I'm the visiting side. So when there's 30,000 home supporters and 3,000 away supporters, and the away team score, what do you think the home side do? They're not pleased. They want to go and beat up the supporters of the other side if they lose the game, right? That's you. Pathetic thugs from a football game in this analogy. That's what you are.
Woo! Winners!
Yeah. So the thugs don't like it when they lose. And that's what we're seeing time and time and time and time again. That's why it's so quiet around here. There's nothing to come back at us with when we use the horizon for our claim. I want to drill this home. Let's forget about this crap about what we could justify the horizon as being in regards to our boats appear to disappear bottom up as per their claim. That's done with. It was done with 3 years ago. So let's move on. We've got a positive claim now, thanks to 10th Man, as much as I've been disrespectful to him today. Sorry. But that's what you should move it to. As soon as they start asking you why it does do that, I don't care. I'm not making a claim about that. You made a claim about it, failed. Rub it in their face. Yeah, you failed to prove it was a hill with boats falling over it. Yeah, we did this. Yeah, we just did it. We debunked it. That's the end of your crappy claim about boats falling over a hill. What's that? You want to know why? Well, go and have a look then, dickhead. I do know, but I'm not going to tell you. I spent years researching it. I'm going to fill you in because you've now got a folly about what it might be. You concede it's not Earth curve. Now I'll make a claim about the horizon. Listen up. We navigate the plane of the Earth by establishing horizontal with it. Clue is in the name. So therefore, Earth's flat. Do you like that? Because you can suck that up and spit it back out at me and see how you get on. I'm not going to be explaining why boats appear to disappear into a limitation of your view at the horizon. When that horizon's used to establish a horizontal plane to navigate. Because that's much more precise. Involves people's lives being at risk if it's not done correctly. What does your boats going over a hill you perceive and has been debunked achieved in life? Oh, absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, people managed to get home based on the flat plane they navigated. I'm pretty sure my argument and my claim about a flat plane that we're using with the horizon holds a lot more weight than your perception of some boat doing something when you haven't got a zoom camera to hand. So let's not talk about what you thought was going on at the horizon when we use it to establish a horizontal plane. Let's get that absolutely clear.
That's where the real pain comes in.
How does Neil have it so quick?
The
True.
problem we have,
True. No truer words have been spoken, Nathan. True.
But feel free to learn about why
The
things
problem
disappear at
we
the
have-
horizon so you can better overcome people's misapprehensions. Should, like 10th Man saying 3 or 4 shows ago, after the fact, after they accept it, and they're like, well, why does the boat disappear? In a cordial manner. Because they're interested in your friend, and they want to explore the knowledge that you've gone and acquired, and they value that knowledge. And with all those prerequisites in place, you might say to yourself, you know what? This person may value the research I've done into this and lend some sign to me that they value it and want to hear it, and will perhaps research it further, not spit it back in my face and tell me I'm wrong because it's actually Earth curve after we've just debunked it 3 minutes earlier. Because that's the only thing that will happen if you start explaining why things disappear at the horizon. You're still on the same argument that you've just won. You're a boxer that's been knocked out cold, getting up, and instead of holding your glove high, the guy's going, no, I'm going to carry on fighting. No, you were knocked out cold. It's the end of the match. No, but you need to tell me, blah, blah. No, I don't. Go on, 10th.
And that's why I was role-playing that position and said, do you concede that? Meaning he must concede it's no longer Earth curve. So now when he changes the subject to whatever, it doesn't matter if it's going to be refraction or any of the other angle or occultation, it doesn't matter because you just conceded it's not Earth curve, the physical edge of the redundity, as they like to call it, of Earth curve, right? So we don't live on the ball, but you have an optical question for me. Is that right? You have conceded we no longer live on the ball. Can I get that concession from you? See, in sales, you need this. You need them. You do checks along the way to see if they're following your sales presentation. And so I've adopted that in my one-on-one conversations or full-out debates, is you kill him with the black swan and you wait for a concession. He jumps to 5 other questions without conceding. I'm not moving. No, I've just destroyed your globe. You need to concede or we're done, because you need to either overcome my argument with a better one, or you need to concede. Which one are you going to do? Don't change the subject. Don't bring something else we weren't talking about. It's your math. It's your radius. It's your limitation. It's not there. We don't live on this thing that you say we live on. Are you going to concede this point? If you don't, I'm done talking to you. I'm using your book. I'm using your numbers, and you won't concede to your own claim.
Yeah, but what if you don't
It's
want
not
to
working
buy?
out for you well right now. That's
Did
what.
you, Ken, did you ever?
Well, let me finish, Neil. I'm done talking to him.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now, we are joined by Neil, Arwin, who's trying to get in right in the middle of my intro, as per usual, Eli, 10th Man, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Yeah.
Hello.
Let's
Good
get it
afternoon.
going.
Sunny and
Hey,
bright
good
here.
afternoon.
It's going to be one of those shows of me getting all angry
Hello.
on my regulars in the pre-show. If you want to check that out as a member after the fact, you can hear me getting quite annoyed. But I apologise, it's all been sorted. We're all on good terms. Hopefully. Arwin wasn't here, surprisingly. He's normally the instigator of such things. Anyway, become a member if you want to check that out. Let's do a bit of housekeeping.
What's going on here?
Nothing. I wanted to get a really important debating point in the pre-show, and Tenth was in the middle of going through a point that was longer than I expected, and he asked a rhetorical question, which I answered, and then there was a constant interruption stream for about 7 attempts for me to answer what turned out to be a rhetorical question in the middle of a stream of thought that was going to culminate in the same exact opinion by both of us, but just, had a bit of irritation from me who just wanted to get one sentence in and had 7 attempts in the pre-show.
Okay.
That's not important. What is important is the underlying point, which is to say that the Earth curve claim, once debunked, has no necessity for you as a flat earther to start explaining the whys and wherefores of how boats behave at the horizon or how buildings behave at the horizon when it is not a positive flat Earth claim, and instead should be used and taken as an opportunity to make the positive assertion about the horizon in regards to how it's actually practically used. Because not only is that practical application of a horizontal baseline, that's a flat Earth, being established with the horizon for the use of navigation, that in itself has far more weight than I think boats seem to fall over the edge of Earth when I see them at the horizon. Used practically for what? And worthy of discussion and debate once it's debunked by the Black Swan because we're, as a flat earther, making a positive claim about it. No, we're not. Just a useful
No,
segue to talk
Nathan.
about our actual positive claim, which is the horizon is used to prove a flat earth and practically applied to navigation. Go ahead, Darwin.
But Nathan, you got to realize, of course, that as a baller, we are coming to expect flat earthers to explain to us why our ball system doesn't work.
Too bad.
I can explain why it doesn't work by debunking the claim that it does. When the positive assertion's made that the hill at the edge of your view, called the horizon, aka Earth curve, has boats falling over it, you take that apart and tell them how it does not work. But what you're suggesting is that as a guru of the new world, you should have to explain why the diffraction limit is in place or something similar. No, you don't. That's the point.
But that's what the ballers come to expect of us,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, and this is how I would respond to that, Arwin. Oh, so you've got questions now you know the horizon's not Earth curve with boats falling over it. That's fascinating. Yeah, I had questions too. Go and bloody research, because I know damn well that the questions you'll have will just be a reason and a why and a wherefore for getting your thoughts about how the horizon still is Earth curve back into this conversation you've just lost. Not because you value my information or really want to learn about diffraction limits. Au contraire. They don't want to learn anything. They want to spit back the nonsense that they perceive you giving them when you describe those things to them. Not that you have any necessity to do so, and the only reason you would be is to give them an in to argue about it continually and perpetually when they've already lost. So, no, I
Yeah,
don't
but
see
they
the
don't
need,
get
and
it.
I thought it was important to stress that. The only useful nature for, once you've debunked it, the horizon, that is, as Earth curve, edge for boats fall over, is to point out how it is practically applied, and that's to establish a horizontal baseline. That's a flat Earth to navigate with. That's what you use it for after the fact. And when they say, no, I want you to tell me why boats disappear from bottom up, I couldn't give a crap. It's not my claim.
Right. But they say that, they ask that because they just didn't understand what you said. You could say it like 10 times, like what you said, like the Black Swan argument. They're just not going to hear it. They just want you to, could you please continue what I know about it and then explain it through that perspective why it doesn't work? Because you could explain it from your flat earth
see.
perspective that is very well researched, and it's just not really going to hear it because
Yeah,
they
they're
can't tie
parasites
it
then, aren't
into
they?
how they think. You
That
see?
makes them parasites. Like leeches
Yeah.
stuck to you. But just pick them
Yeah,
off
they
or
are.
burn them off with a cigar. That's it. You don't muck around with them, trying to coax the slug that's attached to your skin to getting off. No, you just, at that point, it's like Brian's attitude to these people, and he's like, no, you can pay me if you're going to waste my time. Because you're not here to hear about my knowledge and understanding of what the horizon does in that respect. Because I'm not here talking about it for knowledge's sake We're here debating it so that you can pull apart whatever I say. And it has no useful purpose for me as a flat earther to explain something I've debunked in their positive claim that the horizon's an edge for boats to fall over. Earth curve isn't represented at the horizon. We can show how it isn't. That's the end of the discussion. Yeah, I do know about it. Do I care? Do I need to share that with you? No. Is it part of my debate or claim that I'm making about a flat earth? No. So why talk about it?
Well, no,
I
you're-
disagree.
You're totally right about that from your perspective. I'm just saying they do that because they literally cannot connect it to the argument, what we're saying, because they are built up in their mind to only use that approach. So when you bring out an entirely different approach, it's like alien to them. They cannot connect it to their understanding of what they're thinking about, right? And that's why they basically try to force you into their argument, even though you've literally debunked the entire premise. They don't get that. They just
Owen,
don't see it.
Owen, did we come up with the number 3959? You're going to tell me they don't understand that? When you break it down and you show them that the black swan debunks that there's Earth curve, that's their number. How are they not understanding
Well,
it?
strictly
I don't
speaking,
agree
that's
with what
not
you
true.
said.
Well, it's
Well,
been-
hold on.
It's very
I
simple.
agree with
It's
Oz.
been
not true.
snowed under giant piles of nonsense talk and terrestrial refraction and all kinds of weird things. So it's all snowed under to them.
Okay,
They
I just wanna
don't
correct
see
something Neil
that
said.
crystal clear connection about it.
Okay, I just want to correct something Neil said. Neil said that's their number. Not strictly so. They need a flat Earth in every respect when they claim they're measuring a spherical Earth radius value. Either they're going to measure a tangent plane or tangent point after measuring a height of a mountain off a flat baseline. So to establish the height, they're going to use trig, and they're going to use a flat plane when they measure out these triangles, right? That's the Al-Biruni method. To then move forward and assume a non-refracted tangent point line to a geometric horizon that violates the original height of the mountain measurement. Right, that's the first way. The other way they can get it is by measuring the equatorial plane and making it the outside edge, the circumference, and then deriving the R value that way. Well, as we all know, how are you going to get an equator value? What is the equator? You know, there's a couple of people out there currently talking about equatorial mounts. I love it when things go cyclically like they do in flat Earth, right? For us that have been here for 8 years now, you're like, what? Equatorial mounts? You're having a laugh. You think that proves the globe? It's like anything that's got anything to do with looking at the heavens is just automatically assumed by begging the question Fundy as being a globe proof. You're like, equatorial mount. Okay, where did the equator come from? What is the equator? Is it a concept that's been derived from a sphere Earth? No, it's not. It's a concept that's been derived from a flat Earth, isn't it? So when you say it's their number, well, no, they got their number using a flat Earth. So really, like John used to say, well, the globe Earth's still our model. You know, it's been derived by Haversine conversion from a flat Earth elevation angle measurement to Polaris. So that's also our model. You know, they all are. Well, in that respect, Neil, it's our R value. We gave it to them. We lent it to them. They acquired it via our flat Earth.
They used it though, right?
They use our R value and then bastardized it into a spherical R value, but it's still ours. It was acquired by way of a flat Earth angle measurement or a flat Earth height measurement. Either way, it's got a flat Earth being used to measure it, so it's ours, not theirs. It's our R value. Let's get that clear.
Yeah, but we didn't come up with the 3959 to make a sphere. They did.
It's just part of that's what I'm saying. It's part of no, we didn't come up with it. It's just part of a measurement that was taken from a flat plane. You following me?
Yes, I know all that.
Right. So it's ours.
It's a circle around Polaris. That's what it is.
Good morning,
You go to-
guys.
Hey, chocolate.
What's up, chocolate?
You go to Master. You go to Master D and show the two pictures, please.
Yeah, on it. Go ahead. Peter
So you see
tottering at
the
first.
sphere with the boat and the. What's that?
Teeter tottering, yes, it's on.
Hello? Okay. You see the sphere with the boat with the right angle triangle and then the sun. This is from a celestial navigation series of YouTube videos. Now, if you think there's something funny about this. It's right there staring at you. Go to the next picture, and then we'll come back to this one. You say, what's that Navy guy doing with that maypole with a right angle triangle and a circle of equal altitude? What's he doing there? He's demonstrating to you how celestial navigation requires a flat plane. He's showing you a right angle triangle. The zenith of the star would be the maypole or the sun. And where the sailor is, or army man, whoever he is, directly where the two lines meet is the vertex. And directly there vertically would be the zenith of the observer, which would create a box. And you would have the angle measurement to the star from the vertex. And then you would get the co-altitude by the sailor's zenith, which is your zenith distance. Look at the baseline, flat. Look at the circle. It's a circle of equal altitude. The radius is never bent. So there's your ocean after dip correction when your eyeballs are on the water. I go to the previous picture. So the people who believe they live on the globe have to stick this right angle triangle on a curved surface, which negates the globe, because you can never have an elevation angle or 90 or perpendicular or two zeniths that are straight down with a flat baseline working on the globe. It's over just in two pictures.
Brown. Do we have a video we wanted to do? I thought we were in the middle of the space race.
Well, you were going to finish up that other video from the other day.
Yeah, do you have it? Space race video? Is that what it was called? The channel?
Yeah, I'll go post it. I think you were yeah, I'll go find it. I'll post it and I'll let you know. I think you were about 4 minutes into it.
Indeed. Yes, we will carry on with that. It's because I took a little detour yesterday with... It's always the way when you bring in a little passion project that you've got on the side into your daily business and hope that everyone around you will be super keen about it. So yesterday I was all genned up. I was excited. Feel like I'm well researched. Feel like I can, dip my toe in the pond of Scientology and talk about it with at least a reasonable amount of knowledge. I'm not going to sound like a complete dumbo, just slightly ignorant, which I'll profess to. Anyway, in regards to the tangent to the debunking of L. Ron Hubbard's work that we covered yesterday, I felt that's a good segue. That's something that people will be enthused by. It's been the lowest live streamed views of any video in the last month. I even got up, I was like, what? 750 views? I'll share that. I'll put a post out. Bastards, watch that video. I really enjoyed it. I really wanted people to understand the parallel. I think it's important. If people can see how easy it is to debunk the exact same story when it's told with just a few minor details changed by L. Ron Hubbard. Instead of a shuttle, it's an aeroplane, right? Instead of the statistical possibilities being made absolutely certain of life on other planets, it's thetans. It's a bit more slapdash. But it's the exact same story. But because it's not quite as well lied about, people will literally relinquish that crappy version of the story in favour of the much more polished turd that is NASA. And you're like, I don't know, I thought that would go over really well. No, not at all. So let's get back to the regular scheduled material rather than the Scientology stuff, because obviously that hasn't gone over at all with anybody. There we go. Thanks for watching.
It was one of your best shows ever. It was such a beautiful contrast. I think you're underestimating the future value of it.
I think
That's what I'm saying. I thought it was a great show.
I thought it was a great show. Put every ounce of passion into it, right? Like I say, I'd spent hundreds of hours researching the topic before really broaching it and doing a reaction video on it. So at least it was worth, 2 or 3 comments when I just explained what OT2 was. That was about it. That was all it was really worth. But it's enough for the audience to go, no, he's not just picking it apart because he's decided he wants to bully Scientologists. He's gone into it and looked at it thoroughly and then found something that's worthy of corresponding, conversing with them on a level that we can see eye to eye on, I hope. Wow, no, the fact that it was a good show from our perspective meant nothing, Neil.
Hey, Can I say something?
Yeah, sure. Just shout out Mike808 for the super chat. Thank you very much for the support. Really appreciate it. Go ahead.
Yeah, the reason, I mean, I don't find Scientology interesting is because it's not believable, really. I mean, they don't have no cool deities. There's no cool stories. There's no hieroglyphs. I mean, that's why we don't find it interesting. It seems too man-made-ish. It's nothing primitive about it. It's all just like some business. That's why I really can't take it serious as a religion or anything like that. It just seems too business-like. Who knows?
It's exactly the same
Well,
as
Very white
heliocentrism.
collar.
The fundamental
Well, can
basis
I?
of Scientology is heliocentric. It is directly connected to what we cover here. It couldn't be any more connected.
I was gonna kind of
Yeah,
say
because
like there's no cool story, but in the middle of that story, we're on a spinning magical water ball flying around in a vacuum. If that's not the coolest story ever, I don't know what is. But it's just a
Hey,
story.
Chocolate, there's actually a movie. It's a Blurf movie, and I always remind them of the movie. It's Heaven's Gate Survivors, like Survivors, Heaven's Gate Survivors, and they still believe. They still believe all the science, all this crazy stuff, philosophical alien stuff. They still believe it. Go watch that movie, Heaven's Gate Survivors. I remind every Blurf to go. They need to watch this movie because they still believe too. These people still believe too, and it's like, I mean, go watch it. I don't know what to think,
What did you say it's
but
called?
it's a
Heaven's
movie.
Gate?
It's a Blurf movie, and it's called Heaven's Gate Survivors. The survivor, the son of what's his, the Heaven's Gate guy. Yeah, and there's a couple survivors, and they still believe the same stuff.
No
They still
way.
believe it. They look up and they
That's
love
nuts.
it. Go watch it. Heaven's Gate Survivors. It is epic. You like it when you get to the end of it, because it's like this is nonsense. You watch it and then it's like, wow, and you get it at the end of it. Especially if you know that the Earth is flat, you get it at the end of it. You understand what's going on, 100%. So I encourage every single Blurf
What
out there,
year?
go watch your documentary.
What year?
Remember Bob proved it? No, Heaven's Gate proved it. That you have a pseudo religion that is absurd and is debunked by objective reality. I woke up this morning and it is debunked.
Right, I know where you're
Definitively.
going with this, and I appreciate it. It makes me smile because that's what I thought. Right, if you can just see the Heaven's Gate guys still suckered into the same nonsense, the idea is, from what you're saying, you'll appreciate how you're in a cult. No, they won't. Even when, like with Scientology, where it's directly connected and the basis of the religion is the same religion, i.e., it's both heliocentric. Even then. And although I don't say that, it's only been a day and no one's watched it. But maybe they will. Maybe the Scientologists are that much more sharp. And then we'll go, yeah, I see that. But what you're asking people to do is go and look at the Heaven's Gate people and see how, right, they're in a cult just like them. The Globers, the Blurfs, as you put it, right? Ball Earthers, for those who are on the know of our lexicon. Anyway, yeah, you're pissing into the wind, like I was yesterday. It seems that's what I'm moaning about. But I get your sentiment.
That's on HBO streaming right now. There's another one called Going Clear is also on HBO. Both of those.
That's the Scientology one.
Well, it's because they make distinctions without a difference. So it's different rhetoric, but same structure. But for whatever reason, when the label is different, people believe that, oh, my situation is different for some reason. Most people aren't even aware. That's why they can come to Flat Earth and jump into another religion immediately.
Okay, I'm going to read out Unitox Femu's.
Just one sec.
Sorry, just 1 sec. I'm going to read out Unitox Femu's super chat. But just by the way it's written, I'm going to end up sounding like European. Just the way it's written. Thanks for the super chat, first of all, Sasha. Thank you very much. This is aeroplane, okay? But where are wings? Okay, look, there are effects of wings. Are you saying I can't see wings? Question mark. Yep. But you can see effects of wings. There you go. Thank you
Yep,
for the
that's
super chat, Sasha.
True.
That's that old
They're directions.
adage that they got. Oh, you can't see the curvature. Wait, we can definitely see the effects of the curvature that we can't see. I love that super chat.
All right, now let's spend
Yeah,
10
but
hours.
without
What
curvature,
effects
how
is
could the
that?
horizon be terrestrially refracted?
Exactly. Let's talk about it all day long after we've debunked it. No, you've been knocked out. No, it's the end. I'm holding my glove. My glove's been held up by the ref. Get back down, or get out of the ring, or just congratulate him. I'm a win. That's it. That's all you got to do. Not try and throw another
One,
punch.
Ricky Hatton.
Hold on. When you continue to fight after the ref has held up your hand, then you're actually picking the guy up and trying to beat him up again. I'm sorry.
Neil, you kind of did that when you said that the breath of the water has no holds bar.
Okay. Well, let's just do another super chat shout out. So shout out to Godzilla37. This $5 is from the Church of Scientology. Now you owe us 10 grand for mentioning our name. We have lawyers and threats. Pay now. Thank you for the super chat, Godzilla.
The check is in the mail.
No, it isn't. Okay, right. Let's cover this guy, who I will share his link immediately, because obviously we are all for sharing the love and sharing the links as fellow YouTubers do. Or moreover, the fact that everybody who covers me never does it ever. I'm going to encourage people to do it by verbally pointing out that I do. So there you go. That's the standard. I'm sharing his video that will respond to in the live chat. So go and subscribe to him. The guy's called The Space Race. And given that 50% of
There's
my
a
audience
man
are
in the
ball
sky
loving.
smiling at you, Nathan.
Say again?
I said there's a man in the sky smiling at you for your act of kindness.
Maybe the Space Race channel will grow by 3 subscribers as a result of that. You know, by contrast, his 82 or whatever it is, 1,000 subscribers, there's a chance I might grow by 10 if he were to respond. You know, it's all what goes around comes around in that respect. So, you know, that's what I'm encouraging. I've already given it a like. I've shared it. You know, I'm not going to subscribe myself, but, you know, that's... I will. I'll subscribe. Look at it. I'm even subscribed to the guy. Isn't that reasonable of me? How nice. Anyway, what minute do we go
I'm
to?
saying, Nathan, I do subscribe, and I do say some kind words to them.
Gotcha.
Because I want to encourage them. So
no,
sure,
that's a good
it's
hint.
going on. It's happening. It is happening.
Good hint. So
I'm going.
what Into the Break is saying is, should have said this myself already. Thank you for prompting me. When you go and obviously check out the Space Races channel, do as I've done, subscribe and leave him a little comment. Love your stuff, you know, and let him know Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, because I did. And then he'll be appreciative of the love that we've sent his way and obviously want to reciprocate in some small manner when hopefully he responds. I'm saying that for every video, not that I expect anybody to respond. I'm just saying that eventually someone will take the bait, and they will. And when they do, I want that link in there, basically. It's all this little 2-minute amble's about. Okie dokie, right, let's cover this video. Did we get to 245? That's where I estimated 10th man. Is he gone? Oh, he's dropped. Well, I'll have to guess, because 10th man's dropped. So I'm going to guess we're at about the 2-minute 45 mark, so we'll just go from
He
here.
said the 4-minute mark.
4 minute?
He said the 4-minute mark. I remember that's what he said.
Oh, okay, well, glad
It's
you
too
said something.
popular. 10th man is kicked out. It's too popular now.
What? 10th man's ace.
Your show is too popular. Your show is ace. Everybody loves it.
Not going by yesterday's Scientology show. Please share the show, by the way. 103 people watching now. It'd be great if there was a
Everybody loves it, dude.
more diverse audience.
An anomaly that people expecting the Earth to be a globe would likely notice. So planes must fly in a big arc that avoids all of the inconvenient land masses.
Okay, last show we covered this back on Friday's show. So in terms of the way that you've taken an angle to Polaris, developed a mapping system with longitude lines that are derived from the areas of equal elevation measured off a flat plane to Polaris, with the minimum being the equator. That, when transposed onto something like the Mercator projection, would give you what seems like a curved line. Now, meanwhile, you've got this type of projection, which is an azimuthal equidistant projection, North Pole centric, that is also altering and skewing the way the land works. It only works as a map from the centre out. So this nonsense that's being put onto it, it's like, who cares how you're saying this map should not work when it doesn't function in this fashion? It's a tired old 2015 straw man.
It takes about 14 hours for a plane to travel.
Like that. There you go. Perfect timing. So this is, why would anybody travel in a curved path? They don't. They travel in a straight path. But this map is a projection that's taken circles and straightened them out. So what do you end up when you plot a straight line on that? Well, you end up with it looking curved. But meanwhile, this is not a globe map. What gives? Neither of them were globes. This isn't a globe. The last one wasn't a globe. Both of them were derived from flat Earth elevation angle measurements to Polaris. So what's the difference? Who cares?
Travel between Santiago and Sydney. The furthest distance.
Show it me on a globe. Show me on a navigatable globe map. What's that? None of them are. They're all projected onto flat surfaces. Yeah, that's because they're used with elevation angles.
Between 2 points on the flat Earth, it takes about 7 hours to fly from New York to London, which
also on a flat Earth. So what on this flat Earth, it's a different time. It's a different map with different distortions after applying Haversine formula to convert it onto a sphere, to then project it back out onto a cylinder and then roll it out flat. But it ultimately was derived from flat Earth elevation angle measurements in both cases. So what you're saying, both of these maps are wrong, but they're both flat. Where's the globe version? Let's see that.
By comparison, on the same map are just a stone's
by comparison, they were both flat.
Throw away from each other. Now, obviously,
but you're saying they're the two flat Earth maps derived from flat Earth angles to give you these lines on the map. Yeah, they were taken from a flat Earth, my friend. You're saying one of them doesn't work. That's fascinating. You're saying the other one does work. Well, it weren't globe-shaped, was it?
The people in charge must make airplanes fly at different speeds.
No, that's a straw man. Nobody's claiming that. You're just building that up like it was a 2015 argument that wasn't ripped to shreds the day it came out. Yeah, it's a very tatty old argument, this, my friend. How old is this video? 9 days ago? You're telling me this is new? Oh my God, it doesn't take much research to find out this is a tatty old argument that's been debunked long ago. Crap research. The space race, very poor. That's why you're having your ass handed to you by a flat earther who understands this stuff. The maps, neither were globe-shaped.
Speeds depending on how close they are to the North Pole. Okay, but what about the sun? Clearly, this is a giant burning star in distance.
Oh, really? Clearly? So clearly starts the begging the question process of telling us what the sun is in his heliocentric worldview, belief/religion. No, my friend, just saying clearly when showing a CGI image that isn't the sun, and then telling us what you believe it to be based on Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion, an application of the R value onto Venus, and then the derivation of all the scaling values to give you those distances, doesn't make it clearly anything. It's about 5 begging the question fallacies to give you your clearly, followed by a string of assumptions.
In space that we orbit around. And
orbit? What, another begging the question fallacy from Kepler? Yeah, called it before he said it.
And there's the moon, the planets, the stars, everything.
All moving around as per Kepler's begging the question fallacy? No, my friend, it's just part of a religious belief developed by the church. The Roman Catholic Church gave you this. A Jesuit priest gave you this. Orbital assumption? Definitely not.
That we can clearly see above our heads.
Can we? We can clearly see orbital motion? No. We don't see anything that was developed in the mind's eye of Kepler. Definitely not. No, we just see twinkly lights. Yeah? They rise in the east, set in the west. They do it all over the plane. The angles to them have been used to develop maps and models, including the globe, and the angles required a flat Earth to measure. There's nothing obviously orbital about anything I look up at the sky and see. Nothing. It's come from Kepler. It's part of a Jesuit priest's nonsense to appease the church in terms of figuring out when the hell Easter is. That's what it's actually for.
And now we enter the firmament. This is a great dome that encapsulates the flat Earth and contains everything that we see in the sky and so-called outer space. Because
sorry, is it just me, or it seems to me like this citation's come from Professor Dave Explains YouTube channel. So let me get it straight. The firmament, the dome, these are a claim made by Professor Dave. He's not a flat earther. So this is a globe earth straw man being burnt by another globe earther. Who makes this claim? What's this? Because as far as I can tell, this reification that you've got from a globe earther called Dave, yeah? Dave seems to have put something that would at least maintain gas pressure around this peat supply floating up through a sky vacuum. I don't know why we've got a sky vacuum. I don't know what the hell this is. I don't know what any of it is. What I do know is quote-unquote domes that are claimed by flat earthers, not me, would actually maintain gas pressure. That's about the only thing this model's got going for it. Reification fallacy, my friend. Straw man, my friend. We haven't claimed this, my friend. This is a flat earth society. Pizza pie with an edge that seems to have ice falling over it, but is simultaneously contained by a dome. It seems like Dave doesn't understand what containment is, given that he's got stuff falling out of it. Yeah, it's thick. But what this is what flat earthers claim. No, it's what Professor Dave, who's not a professor, claims. Not me. So you're going to burn this straw man? No, definitely not. We would definitely require a containment of some description to have gas pressure that we're all breathing. That goes without saying. That debunks the globe Earth in a vacuum without containment, by the way. That's your claim. This isn't mine.
Is a flat disk, and the sun is a gigantic light millions of miles away from it.
No, that's based on Kepler. I just went through it. You don't know that. You're just going to tell us that clearly and then waffle it off, parrot it because you were told it as a child. Yeah, you don't know the origins of where that number came from, though, do you? I do, because I'm far better educated in your globe Earth religion than you are. You just say clearly and parrot off something you've heard. And then show a straw man you're going to burn on behalf of Dave. So Dave Strawman says Earth floats through space with a dome on it. Who's Dave? Some globe Earth muppet?
Then there would be no day and night cycle. So
would there not, on your model you're claiming of a flat Earth? No, this just shows how stupid you are when it comes to fantasies about what the Earth might be when flat. This isn't something we would claim. But you're telling us how your stupid idea of how a flat Earth would work. Wouldn't work. Well, that's fascinating. Meanwhile, we didn't claim any of this crap.
Therefore, the sun must be...
Therefore, on your model, the sun must be. Because this isn't ours. So you're pulling apart your own stupid claim. Or maybe it's Dave's.
Significantly smaller and closer than what we've been led to believe.
Led to believe? No, you've been deceived by Kepler and an assumption of orbital motion. And Christian Huygens' superimposition of an R value you haven't got a capability of measuring for an Earth radius onto Venus so you can derive the scaling values and give you your distances. That's where you got it from. Led to believe? No, it's just maths from the church. That's what it actually was.
I actually like the fact that he said that we were led to believe as opposed to as we were proven or as we were given proof for, right? Because he's right. We were led to believe that. It hasn't been proven to us, but we were led to believe it. So I like how he said that.
Yeah, and why were we led to believe it? Well, because the church were trying to figure out when they were going to let Easter be. That's why. Shout out to... should I shout him out? Actually, he might not want me to.
On the flat Earth, the sun is still a glowing ball of light, but it's only about 50 kilometers in diameter, and it moves in a circular pattern around the outer edge of the disk, but within...
Says who? What, Flat Earth Society? So you're taking apart the Flat Earth Society and crediting Professor Dave? Is Professor Dave Flat Earth Society? Because that's where this has come from. It's not me. I don't claim this. It's just a controlled opposition narrative that's put out there for you to debunk because you're too dumb to realise that this isn't the claims that are made by Flat Earthers. It's the claims put in place by the controlled opposition known as the Flat Earth Society. That's not me. Yeah, just there so you've got a nice easy route into making a video that'll undoubtedly get you a bazillion views, right? Yeah? 21,000 views in 9 days? Why?
within the dome of the firmament. The moon...
That you claim, not me.
...behaves in a similar pattern.
Does it? How do you know how it behaves? Because it's become your claim now, because we're not claiming this.
Circling on an opposite position to the sun. That's why we see one during the day and one at night.
Is it really? So you're now making that claim? All right. As evidenced by what? Or are you suggesting that's what I claim, because I don't?
At opposite ends of the disk, except...
At the opposite ends of what disk? Who's claiming a disk? Flat Earth Society?
Where is he getting this from?
Flat Earth Society.
Like, I'm flat earther. I've seen the sun and the moon out at the same time. What the hell is he talking about? Where's he getting this crap?
It's nonsense.
For those times when we clearly see the sun and moon at the same time. But that's probably just a reflection off the dome or something. And
Sorry, just something that you'll make up as an explanation for a model that we don't claim that you haven't got an explanation for within the crappy model you've strawmanned us with. So it's just a reflection off the dome or something, according to you. Because we're not claiming that. So what, you're going to give some throwaway explanation for what you claim it is? Why don't you stick to your globe Earth claims about what you say the sun does? Like go over a physical limitation to your view? Earth curve? Like the sun falls over the edge of Earth curve when you see it disappearing? Yeah, that's what you think. Yeah, we can debunk that. Meanwhile, we're not making a claim about what the sun is, because there's no need to. We know how it's useful. We know about practical applications for the sun in navigation on a flat Earth. So maybe take apart one of our actual claims. We claim that when using any of these celestial bodies, including the sun, you will and do and or are using currently a flat Earth to navigate with it. That's a fact. There you go, there's a claim. Maybe take that apart instead of this stupid controlled up narrative that'll give you thousands of views for doing so, because it'll be promoted above all else. Because that's what they want you to do. They want you to take apart the straw man narrative from the controlled opposition, not the actual claims of flat earthers, which directly translate to practical things that people do in everyday life, like navigate. Yeah, and they need a flat earth to do it.
and
We've
because
got
of the
here,
Go on, Adam. Hello, by the
This
way.
is what I meant. I thought I'd sent you this. But I sent you the Michio Kaku again. But I'd watched this last week and I thought it was. I searched for something new. And this is only like a week old, wasn't it? And I was shocked because it's so 2015 in its approach. As you've mentioned there, they're taking their weak points. Listen to the points they cover. They're their problems with their model, and then they're building a straw man against flat Earth and ridiculing that. And this is why I say it's 2015. It's 2023 now, and all Earthers should, by rights, if they believe in their model, believe being the wrong word, but a word they like to use, they should have some evidence for it. What they shouldn't be doing is sitting there now building straw mans against the flat Earth model that neither prove nor disprove anything. Got nothing to do with this, what they're discussing. But what they won't discuss is their model. And those topics that they've raised against their straw man flat Earth, discuss those against their model. That's what they have to. All they can do now is avoid that and do this.
But Adam, what has the globe left them to do these past 7-8 years? Like, what do they have new to hold on to? Nothing.
Nothing.
Right?
No.
Nothing. This is why they have to strawman us all day long.
Right. I suspect that initially, like cyclically has happened before, they've released the flat Earth in a little way so that they can see how people react to it and patch up any cracks in the concrete and make that concrete nice and smooth again. And in this instance, it's filled with water, it's iced over, and now the concrete's completely disintegrated. And they're going, what the hell? Why did we let this out? Because the cat's out of the bag, it can't go back in. So what do they do? Well, we'll just have to keep it away from the main proportion of the populace. That's the only thing they can do. In other words, try and hold back the flood once the gates have already broken. Well, I don't know. People like this having their promotion because they're still taking apart the exact same stuff that they would have been had we been suppressed earlier or not, grown in the way that we have back in 2015. This would all be this would be what was left of the flat Earth, because it wouldn't have progressed beyond people taking apart the feast of nonsense arguments and flat Earth society narratives. Some people would have carried on adopting them because they were dyed in the woods flat earthers and loved the conferences and the social aspects and didn't care to do any research, so they just lent on the old feast of nonsense crap that they got when they first got here, and we wouldn't exist. But we do, and we're here. And what are they doing? Are they taking apart our actual claims? The ones that directly relate to our Earth is actually useful functionally for navigation? No, they'll burn some straw man.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think that's part of the problem, because Globers are going to come into this thinking it's just like 2015.
Yeah. The guy we covered a couple of weeks ago, the Dave McKeegan guy, that's exactly the same, right? He's getting hundreds of thousands of views, punting out the same old tosh. You're like, right, equatorial mounts, and just like, this is garbage. It's just cyclical. But for the fact that they've just re-promoted anybody who latches onto anti-flat earth material today and put it to the top of the list and made damn sure that everybody gets to see that, because they're still searching for it. That's the reality. Why do they need to hold up people like Dave McKeegan or this guy? Well, the answer is simple. Because people are still looking for it. And they've got to give them something, right? Well, okay, that might work for a time.
Inverse square law, which explains that the closer a light source is, the faster the
There you
light
go.
will fall off into the dark.
There's another one. Okay, so they're using the inverse square law against this. So that's to do with the supposed ray that the celestial bodies would, the sun and the moon would the cast. But look at the inverse square law in their model. Look at the moon and how the inverse square law applies to that. It just destroys their model. Instead of dealing with that and saying, no, look, we recognize that the heliocentric model has an issue with the inverse square law. This is our solution to keep our model together. No, can't mention their model. Let's build a straw man for the flat earth and disprove that. Well, it's not 2015, boys and girls.
Exactly. I mean, I
It's
remember
your
back
problem.
in 2015, the first person to talk about Kepler was Jeranism, back when he was really, interesting. And he was talking about how Kepler objected. His objection based on, was it, who is he objecting to? I can't remember who he was objecting to, but it's obviously in regards to the distances in terms of the heliocentric claims with 93 million mile suns. And in that claim, he's like, well, the other planets would have to be absolutely enormous. And that's
What was it,
precisely,
Tycho Brahe or something?
yes, Tycho Brahe. And so that's what happened. Instead of it being an objection, it ends up being ascribed to him and being part of the rhetoric. So instead of, well, it'd have to be enormous, you just say that exact sentence with a slightly different intonation. Well, they'd have to be enormous. All right, so they are enormous then. Yeah. Yeah, go and look up Betelgeuse. Type into Google Betelgeuse versus the sun and have a look what they claim the sun is compared to other stars in the solar system and beyond. Not suns. But they say they're enormous. Why? Well, because they have to be in scale terms to overcome the inverse square law. Because they wouldn't be able to be seen unless they're enormous. So you end up with Betelgeuse being 50,000 times bigger than the sun. It's just like, what? This is ludicrous. Well, why? Well, because Kepler made an objection. That's why. And what do you end up with? A massive problem in terms of how it all works out with the inverse square law, with light's diminishing properties.
You get an
Anyway.
adaptation of the objection into the new philosophy. So, like there with Kepler and Galileo stating the obvious that these things have got these distances that creates a discrepancy in size. They do the same with Newton. Let no man ascribe to me an immutable force that has got spooky action at a distance. I said, don't do that.
I was
Right,
just gonna
let's
say they
roll
pulled a
with
new
that.
one on him.
Right, they take a
roll with spooky
take it
action
as
at
a
distance.
challenge. Let no man ascribe this innate force of gravity to me. Is that a challenge? I'm going to call it Newtonian gravity. Have that.
Exactly.
Okay, so I might as well qualify that. So CV Boys, Reverend John Michel, and Cavendish is the 108 year out of date rhetoric of a force of gravity. Still taught to school children, I might add. That's why everybody's still under the misapprehension that gravity is a force when it isn't, right? But that's not Newtonian. Quite the contrary. It's like a bit like Kepler. It's like he's objecting to it. He's going, this isn't a force. This is ludicrous. Don't put this on me. Right? He makes it really plain. He doesn't want anything to do with this nonsense. So what's it called? Is it called Reverend John Michel? Gravity? Or Cavendish Gravity? No. What about CV Boys? Right? The real purveyor of this nonsense. Is it attributed to him? No. It's called Newtonian. What a bloody outrage. I think you're protesting a bit too much about it. I'm gonna call it you. I'm gonna call it Newtonian forces. What bastards, eh? Psychopaths, basically. That's how they are.
Especially
Chocolate.
after he says literally himself in his own quote that no man in philosophical matters as a competent faculty of thinking can ever fall into it. And they name it right after him.
Yeah,
You
he's
gotta
basically
love it.
saying nobody in their right mind would believe there's a force, an innate force, one that just happens to just be there, not one that some guy comes along and puts an energy into moving something, that kind of force, just an innate force that just exists. Nobody in their right mind would ever believe this. Do not ascribe it to me. Don't ascribe what? Newtonian gravity to you? Ha ha! Of course, it was long dead when they did that, but that's what they do. That's just what they do. Psychopaths. Scary, frightening, but that's how they behave. They'd be
That's
chuckling
why, 'cause
about
he
it.
was
Jupiter's
dead.
Delight. Something Russian Vids covers quite frequently. Jupiter's Delight. Look it up. It's what it is. I've got Tenths posted the actual letter. Who was this to? Do we know? Anybody?
And Anthony Riley could answer that one because I got this from Anthony.
We should really know the pedigree information for the letter and who it's to and stuff. We don't. There we go. It's on screen in text form if you want to read Newton's words. Right, should we carry on? Should we do a bit more of
Bentley. Sorry, I had a sandwich in my mouth.
Bentley?
Yeah.
I don't know who Bentley is. Sorry.
Another one of the prominent like Boyle at that time, I think. Just another
Wait a minute.
scientist.
Wait a minute. You're an Englishman and you don't know what a Bentley is?
No, Mr. Bentley, not as in Bentley cars. Well, it might be.
I
but
know.
Darkness, the close sun still explains the day and night cycle. What it doesn't explain, however, is the solar eclipse. These definitely happen, even though the people.
And just because they happen doesn't automatically mean that it's a heliocentric phenomenon. Further to that, there's eclipses that aren't possible in the heliocentric model. They're called, quote, the impossible eclipse, right? Well, if you've got this claim to be the same phenomena, although it's not working in the model, that's the end. So why would you lean on eclipses when there's examples that don't work in the heliocentric model? Like literally just are, quote, impossible. Bloody hell, it's just a phenomenon. It doesn't mean it's heliocentric. Just because you're going to now go on to assume that you've got occultation through orbital motion you assumed 30 seconds ago, does not mean it's so. Just lots of begging the question fallacies you've automatically held as true and are now going to say, well, there you go, there's an eclipse. Yeah, and? Well, that means it's a globe. Okay, why? Well, because the moon moved between the sun and Earth as a sphere. Did it? Prove it. What? Earth's a sphere and the moon's a sphere and it moved between. Did it? Yeah. Prove it. You can't. It's an assumption. Right? Kepler assumed these things were orbital in their motion. You know, these things have been refined in their mathematics. But that doesn't mean it's physically true. It doesn't mean we're on a ball. It doesn't mean the moon occults the sun or Earth occults the moon. It doesn't mean any of those things. Those are all assumptions come from the church. That's all they
Well,
are.
then what is it, Nathan?
Who cares? I'm not making a claim about it. I don't know what the sun is. What's an eclipse? I don't know. Lunar eclipse. Why did it turn red? I could ask them. Oh, well, it's because of the refraction of the blah, 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 blah. Prove it. I can't. But we've been to the moon, have you? What, through a sky vacuum? Well, how come I'm still breathing gas pressure? Well, gravity. What, a non-force fourth-dimensional time-based phenomena that isn't real? You think Einsteinian's fourth-dimensional time holds gas here so we can travel to the moon through a vacuum? No, definitely not. But what, you've got orbital assumption automatically in place with sky vacuums and things falling around other things because a man decided to say that it was so for the church to figure out how Easter behaved. That's all it is. Well, okay, that doesn't mean we're in an orbital motion just because you say something like clearly or obviously or we have got this phenomena, therefore globe. Shout out to you, Godzilla37, who says, This super chat counts for 7 people. Therefore, there is 150 people watching. Therefore, chocolate is ace, and therefore, extended show. Thanks for the super chat. Really appreciate the support.
That
Love
sounds
it.
like sound logic to me.
People in charge do their very best to try and convince you not to look directly at it. This is a phenomenon that is typically explained by the moon passing in between the Earth and the sun and creating a shadow.
Assumption of a shadow. No. When I've seen the moon in a lunar eclipse, it goes red at totality. I mean, I'm colourblind and I could see it going red. So I'm pretty sure it's a pretty glaring effect to anybody who's got better colour vision than I do. Meanwhile, we've got the impossible eclipse. That's the Seleninian eclipse. That shows that it's not an orbital motion that's causing these effects. If you want an actual practical demonstration of how it does not work in this example. But this example, this is just a CGI rendering of what your belief in what the sky is, from a position you have never attained and cannot be attained, because if the sky was a vacuum, then all of the gas, these are clouds, right? That's a cloud. That's a high pressure gas that cloud's in. So all of it would just dissipate instantly into a 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum. That's what this is. So no, this whole nonsense affair of Kepler's assumption that we're in an orbital motion, no, definitely not. Every aspect of it can be debunked. And you're not giving any evidence. You're giving a CGI from a position you can't attain.
But if the close sun and the close moon are at opposite ends of the dome...
So what, you're not going to prove your orbital motion that you've just stuck on screen and just expect the audience to accept? Skeptic936 says 7 more hours. Thank you for the super chat.
It's going to do exactly what we've called. So once again, you've called it the Seleninium eclipse. He's taken a subject that's a problem for his model. Instead of addressing that, because it is 2023, boys, he's building a straw man for the flat Earth. Whoa! What if we had this on the ends of a flat Earth with a dome? And that's what he's going to challenge. He's not. Once again, he's not dealing with the problems, the obvious problems, just in terms of saying. I mean, never mind, like say the vacuum of space existing here. Once again, picking on something that is a major problem that's not resolved in his model, and then instead of dealing with that, straw man in us.
Yeah, exactly. And as for dealing with the problems, he's not even claimed to be offering any proof of this. He's just said the word clearly and then started barking off his religious beliefs.
Then they couldn't possibly cross over each other. So therefore, it must be true that there is an anti-sun that also exists within our dome. This object moves in a much more erratic pattern. It's typically seen at night, obscuring light from the moon, but on rare
Anybody
occasions...
got any idea what he's babbling about?
Wow.
I think he's defining Rahu and Ketu. So, because he's claiming that if this was all small and local, the sun and moon wouldn't be able to pass over each other and create an eclipse as he understands it, in the same way as it's made in his heliocentric model. So there'd have to be some dark bodies that are creating these effects.
If it's a shadow, if it's an occultation and a shadow. So if those two assumptions are kept in place, his about to be burnt straw man, therefore it doesn't work, would have to have other physically assumed to be bodies with other physically assumed to be bodies that we don't see, that he's claiming from old crappy text he's looked up about Rahu and Ketu, to suggest that physical assumption bias translates onto his flat earth straw man that he's about to burn. Is that correct, Adam?
That was my understanding of what he's presenting as our theory to burn, yeah.
Right.
Also,
I
hang
see.
on. This is what they do, right? So basically, their main claim is the eclipse is the moon in the way, or the Earth, or whatever, the sun. All of a sudden, it doesn't happen that way. So that destroys their claim, because it just happened a different way. So that means something else can cause it. So now they have to put that something else problem that they have onto flat Earth and build that straw man. So they're basically admitting that it doesn't fit our model, but it's embarrassing, so we won't use it for us. We'll just say this and say it's the flat earthers.
Exactly. 152. Woohoo!
Yeah, we will extend the live show a little bit. So over the last 6 months, I've had a faulty computer, which as a result of the cooling not working correctly on it, I've not been able to actually test the memory overclock, the CPU overclock, various other aspects of the computer, because it wasn't cooling itself properly. So everything I did to test was just worthless, other than to learn how the platform worked, which is great. So in the last week, literally, after taking it to a shop and actually having the cooler fitted correctly, it now is a normal computer, which means you can do the fun things of actually getting it to run stable. Now, because I've done it for 6 months almost, or 5 months, that would typically be the point that you go, oh, I'm sick of it, I've got it stable, fine, I'm happy. However, because I've learned it, it's like, well, I might as well tweak it and actually make it really, really good, because I know how to. So that's what I've been doing, and after getting it stable, I didn't give up. I just thought, no, I'll continue to test. I'll actually see if I can find the limit of the computer, and then knock it back one notch. And I'm just periodically doing that. Like I say, I declared a few weeks ago, I've got the computer stable, which is great, because I'm not now paranoid constantly that thing's going to fall over. And if it does, it'll just be a piece of software, hopefully. Anyway, so that's what I'll do. I'll extend the live show. The chat will continue. Oh, wow, there's a 1,000 RSD, whatever that is, from Alexander. So I'll do a quick shout out to you, my friend. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat. Really appreciate the super sticker, rather. #1, it says, with a little wavy flag. Thank you so much. So yeah, after getting it stable, what I've now done is tuned it up, which is make it go faster. Now I'm at the last stage, which is reduce the voltages. In other words, try and make it as efficient as possible, which does still come with its own inherent risk of the computer falling over. So it is still worth me remaining live for a little bit longer, just to actually get my kid in and hopefully get her to play Grand Theft Auto or some powerful piece of software, aka a game, just to stress the computer while everything's running. I haven't actually even checked the entire show about all the numbers that I have to check if the computer's fine, because I know it is. I'm happy. It's not going to fall over. But I still need to test the undervolt, so I will do that in this next, I don't know, half an hour to an hour, if you did want to actually stay tuned live, because that's going to be weirdly how it actually works out in the outro today. So I'll do it in case the computer does fall over. So if you're watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering Stream, then hopefully the recording won't fall over no matter what, because I've got enough redundancy to keep it going. So stay tuned if you're watching on a Nathan Oakley Premiering Stream or as a member, as there will be an after show after the live show actually does end. But for the time being, this is the round out for the live show, because there's going to be a bit of game footage and maybe a continued chat from the Discord and G+ servers, so I can test the computer, basically. But as there has been 150 people watching, and I've said for the last few shows that I will extend the live show should that be the case, I'll stay true to my word and I will keep the live show going, but I will do a proper outro now, just in case, as I say, the computer does fall over in this testing process. So with that, I'm going to say a massive thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible, which will continue. Stay tuned, as weird as that is. And of course, a massive thank you to today's Discord panel also for making today's live show possible. Yeah, that's it. I know what I'm going to do now. I'll do the outro music and then we'll continue live for a little bit longer. So thanks for watching. If we continue live, stay tuned. Stay tuned if it's an after show, all that weird stuff. How else can I round this out? Weird. Because we're not even outro. There we go, the intro music's rolling. Everyone's happy.
Okay, so the Brownies did ascribe to the ancients, and the ancients never had any idea of heliocentrism, orbits, or any of that. They actually believed the Earth was flat. So it's a funny thing that this has to come and bite them in the rear end here, because the eclipse to the globe model has to be the current heliocentric model, which the ancients didn't adopt. And yet the ancients saw eclipses and called it something else because they weren't thinking heliocentric. They said Rahu Ketu or whatever. And I'll look forward to see what you got.
Cycle.
So the whole point is that when you do have an eclipse and it doesn't match the heliocentric model, then all of a sudden the model breaks down and falls apart, much like 3959, and every horizon distance can be no further then. So it's the end of that. That's how powerful this is, the impossible eclipse. is just like the black swan. It's the end of that.
Yeah, that's kind of my point. And I don't know why you bring Ryan K. Look, it's there. It's part of the ephemeris. And in Vedic astrology, that's the explanation. In Vedic astrology, not our flat earther.
No, I
explains it.
understand. That's why I wanted you to.
I mean, yeah. So I thought it was a bit of a straw man. It's not to poo-poo Rahu and Ketu, but these are invisible black bodies. I've never seen them. They're an explanation. I mean, they are tracked, and like you can see there, look, you can see where they are in the night sky that you can't see. But that's a separate piece of like ancient astronomy.
That's my point.
It's not a core principle to any sensible flat earther. It's a claim you'd probably stay very clear of because it's non.
No, I get that. That's my whole point. And I'm glad you said all that because that's important. So because the ancients didn't know, in this case, they said it's these invisible black stars or bodies that we can't see. But so now they use that against us in a sense because it's a cover-up of their heliocentric failure. So my point, if I could summarize it, is the ancients weren't heliocentric, nor did they believe in orbits from all research that I've done. So now you have a group of them saying, well, we think it's this, which isn't our claim, but that's what they thought. Now they tell us what it is. It's orbits and the heliocentric claim, except when the impossible eclipse happens, which means we're back to square one, guessing as to what it is and what's causing it, because it's not the heliocentric model working out for them. That's my claim here.
Didn't they figure out the patterns of eclipses way before the heliocentric model? Didn't they call it the Saros cycle?
Yeah, they knew it.
Yeah, way before heliocentric. Right?
Yeah, that's the whole point I'm saying. Once heliocentrism goes, okay, look, let's just contrast the point again. The Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959. So every horizon distance can be no further than 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Okay, we kill them on that. That's the black swan. The minute that's violated, it's over. We don't live on a globe. End of story. Now let's just go to this one. All eclipses are caused by orbits of the sun, moon, earth getting in the way of each other. Okay, except this one. What do you mean except this one? What you can claim now? Refraction?
They'll need half of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's over. It's over when they, and then they throw that, and then they go and see all this stupid stuff that they try to answer it with. But clearly you see the sun, the moon above the horizon, and there's an eclipse. Where's the earth in the way?
Yeah, that's all they've got. They've got their assumptions of orbital motion, and because they've been indoctrinated with it by the cult of heliocentrism, they fall upon it like it's automatically true. It's like, again, that's like 2016, 2017 stage of our discussions where we're pointing out to them, no, that's what begging the question is. And it got to the point halfway through when they were still winning to a certain extent, and they'd come into the debate where we had to point out, no, you don't just get to beg the question immediately. Now, I recently released a flashback with, pop yourself on mute, whoever it is, that's coughing, with Planner Walk. And he starts his sentence, he's probably the best example of it because he does it within 10 seconds of opening his mouth, which is, well, if the Earth's a sphere, then blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, you don't get to beg the question on Flat Earth debate. You don't get to immediately start with the premise you're trying to prove. But that's what things like that video we've been covering, that's what they do. They start with a premise and move through it with the assumption it's automatically true and doesn't even need proving. So when he put up his picture of the sun and said the sun's 93 million mile away, massive ball of burning gas in a sky vacuum, clearly, and then he shows a CGI image, you're like, what? Why are we begging this question for you? Because you've told us that clearly that's the case. You mean clearly everybody who's watching this was also indoctrinated into that belief at school, therefore clearly that's what it is. moving on to what flat earthers say it is, with the assumption that everything I say about a globe is true automatically. Like, no, you've got to actually prove that first.
But that's what it is. Everybody thinks it's been settled. Everyone knows. That's what I'm going through with my younger brother. He said, "What do you mean? Flat Earth? It's been debunked." They don't know.
If you take any disagreement on any subject, it could be sports, politics, it doesn't matter. The one party is always thinking they're in the right and they're arguing from that point. The other party's got the opposite or a little bit different view. And there's a big old argument that ensues. And so, you know, you watch these debates and it's like this guy's his premise is this. So based on that premise, he argues until someone gets wise enough to say, wait a minute, can you prove your premise so I can concede to your point of view because your premise is flawed. That's why we're arguing and I have the opposite view. Can you please prove the earth is a globe first? Then we will stop the argument. But don't argue with the assumption that the earth is a globe first without proving it first. That's all I'm asking. Crickets?
Exactly.
Didn't you recently play maybe a flashback when Planet World was on here and we were telling him he was begging a question and he said something like, you know, I'm trying to type questions, but like hard on this show. Like, it's hard to do.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Like,
He
yeah,
said,
because we're not letting you do it.
that was almost verbatim. He says, I'm trying not to beg the question, but on this show, it's really hard to do that. Like, it's somehow objectionable to not let your opponent automatically assume they've won with the first statement they make.
When it comes to heliocentrism, they think it's okay.
Yeah,
No,
and
it's not just not heliocentrism. It's Eli's on this for how long now about fallacies, fallacious argument. You can't reason with people who, if something is being argued but essentially not true, how do you reason?
Yeah, but begging a question, they say begging a question and they're not even knowing what it means.
No, I don't care about
in
that.
politics and others. But it seems like in heliocentrism, it's okay to beg the question.
No, Neil, it's okay to beg the question in society because that's how society rolls. That's why there's disagreements. If we both watch something happen and you have a totally different view of it, and I say there's no way you saw what I saw and come up with that story. There's no way. In fact, there's a camera behind us that recorded the whole thing. Let's go watch it. And then you go watch the whole thing and you figure out who's the guy who didn't see it the right way because it's recorded. Oh, I guess I was wrong. This is the essence of how people live throughout their whole life. They take whatever they learned in school or whatever happened in their social culture, whatever, and then they use those as argument points. How many of them actually did research? How many of them actually asked penetrating hard questions? Well, how did we arrive to this? How do we know the Earth is a globe? Was it ever measured? Does it only exist in the math? I mean, how is this possible? No one does that because the science is settled. We live in their system.
None of it was supposed to be possible, Tenth, because nobody was supposed to be arguing about this. This is why we were taught this when we were kids, so that we all just took it in, absorbed this nonsense, and just lived the rest of our lives thinking we all live on a magical spinning water ball flying around in a vacuum. We're not supposed to argue with it and disagree with it. That's the problem.
Right. That's what my brother says. It's settled. What do you mean? But it's not settled. Listen to the questions.
What do you mean?
Listen
What do I
to
mean?
the debunkings. Nobody's listening to the
I saw
debunkings.
Star Wars. I just saw Star Wars, and they're flying in light speed and whatever into planets. It must be true. I mean, they wouldn't make a movie unless it was.
Maybe that balloon was a Chinese Death Star. Yes.
Listen, it's like you bring up the Black Swan, you break it down, you break down celestial navigation, and they don't even give you an answer. They just go right back to the freaking horizon, right back to bolts falling over this edge, right back to star rotation. It's insanity.
the two easiest arguments before the black swan and celestial navigation, and still are solid, is how water behaves and airplanes. They don't even get that.
Correct.
And this nice breathing we're all doing with this beautiful gas pressure we got here. Thanks.
Well, that's because it's bouncing off other gas molecules. That's all. There's no container. What do you mean?
Somebody may be going over those airplanes today. Could be.
Going on here.
Going on. What about those boats going over the horizon? What's happening with the water?
I heard that's fairy tale.
The water is used as a horizontal base. That's what's happening with the water.
No. I think Huey's picking up something I put down a few days ago, which is so
Yeah,
the boats
yeah.
fall over the horizon, but the water doesn't.
Yeah,
that-
yeah.
Is that what you're suggesting, Huey?
That was
Yes, sir.
chocolate.
Yes, sir.
But did you also find it silly how the Glober that was on that day, or the one that we were listening to, was making fun of the notion that water would fall off a flat disc flying around, and they're making fun of that notion. Like, that's reality. if you spill water, it goes off edge. That's what's gonna happen. But you think water is sticking to the outside of a ball, and that's coherent.
As a kid, I played frisbee in the rain, and water was flying off the disc that I threw. But who says that's our Earth? Flying through what? The Earth
Exactly.
is stationary.
I would stick with since the boats go over the horizon, why isn't the water following with it? I would stick with that one instead of the old why does water stick to a ball? You're going to get into the gravity horse shit. If you want to go there, that's fine. I mean, if you want to set them up like that, that's good. But the point that Chocolate made the other day was outstanding. I just sat back and smiled.
I thought that was me.
Agreed.
Was that not me that made that?
You gotta,
No,
you gotta
chocolate
stop
made
them.
it.
No, I think you'll find it was
Chocolate
me.
made it, and you jumped on it.
Yeah, I think you'll find that was me.
You find out. You'll find
It'll
out
be
that
off wins next week. So
Hold on, I've just had a message.
find-
Hold on. It was actually Brian.
Stole
Damn
it
it,
from
Brian.
Alwyn. Stole
He
it
stole
from
it from
him.
Alwyn. Yep.
Kiwi, this is directed at Kiwi. Stop those negative waves.
You're waiting to get that one in. I know it.
You know it because 4 people overspoke while I was trying to get it in. Yeah, you got it.
We know it now, so we're ribbing you a little bit. And what's this sneak attack? Moving your daughter, no ball busters, then all of a sudden a treatment? Are you playing with me?
Nah, she had to change her date, so it's this Saturday.
But then you
Sorry.
say, ball busters assemble. You know, remember in Young Guns, regulators, saddle up.
I didn't want to do that because I told everybody there wasn't, and I didn't want to break any of their plans just for little old me and Nathan. So I let you guys go. I had to finish Cream of Wheat anyway.
It was a nice finish, and you got the special guest in.
Agreed.
I could have when I first watched that, because like I watched Myth Vision and stuff anyway, so it's for this kind of some of the scholarly stuff. But honestly, I was, as you can see, I was dumbfounded. And I've been through that stuff with that Cream of Wheat, but then for Brenda to pop up, it was just couldn't believe it. And then the things she's saying, we're loaded, aren't we? So rich, as all these people give us money.
Brenda
Yeah.
makes rumors unlimited. I mean, when she gets going, it
Yeah.
just never ends with like nonsensical, crazy rumors.
All of us know it's a ball deep down. I think she said it was also it was just.
Am I hearing this right? That Brenda came on Kiwi's show?
No, she appeared on a non-flat Earth channel, so it's a scriptural review channel. But obviously, a lot of the people in those chat are pointing out that the Earth's flat as well. So it's a topic that had to be addressed by Derek. So being the ex-Christian and now super scientist that he is, because he's put all his faith in science, he brought on the best scientist he could get, which was the non-Professor Dave. So you go through this very Dave style rebuttal against flat Earth. I think then they have some flat earther on, I think a little bit, and then the next guest is Brenda just phones in. I mean, shows you how hard these guys are working and how few there are of them, and look where they're having to pop up to reinforce. Yeah, it weren't some rando that just phoned in because they were having a topic. Brenda's aware. She's been made aware that this is a phone in. You've got to go and do it. Unless she's into big reading of scripture as well. But why else would she be looking at that program? So she's being alerted to go there and prop up the ball Earth.
Gotcha. So, as the late great Ed Sullivan said, it must have been a really big shoot.
An appeal to motivation fallacy, basically, isn't it, from Brenda? Just appeal to motive. Who cares? You know, if we've got an argument, let's say Baldwin puts together a really cracking globe Earth argument that's undefeatable, just for the sake of argument. Well, does it matter that his actual motivation in developing that was actually to promote flat Earth? It's like, well, actually his undefeatable argument was crap because he's actually a flat earther. Like, who cares? Is it just not relevant whether or not he's got a good argument as a glober? You know, for you watching on as Ball Earth representative Baldwin, who's actually a flat earther, does a good job or better job than most of the ballers could do at arguing for a globe. No, it doesn't matter what motivates him. It's just whether or not his argument's good, right?
Baldwin resents being called actually a flat earther. Please don't do that.
Oh, in the third person. Okay, my bad. You should be sure to let him know, Arwin.
I appreciate it, but he doesn't.
That's level 4 flashing.
Can I ask a question, please, Nathan?
Oh boy. Let me get a quick.
Hang on, you got QE right here, so ask it to him now.
I got a question for QE too.
Oh, sorry. I was hoping he was on.
Yes, you can. Go ahead, ask your question before everybody interrupts you.
I was actually gonna leave that until later on. I hope he was on Tuesday afternoons this week, but no, this has to do with what's taking place now. You just made a good point, Nathan, about how a person's pertinent point is affected by something else. And I was just wondering if the same thing can be said about this begging the question. When just because a person, it seems to me that this begging the question is basically about how a sentence is structured. Because a person starts a sentence in a certain way, does it then affect the point that he's making at the end of that sentence? If you need an example, I can try one.
Oh, I thought you summarised it. There was no question or need to answer it, really. I mean, you've already done it. If I am trying to argue that unicorns are real, and I start my sentence with, if unicorns are real, then that's begging the question.
Right, but the end of that sentence could be making a pertinent point to support the fact, but it's just because he started the sentence in the wrong way.
No.
It's the fact that it doesn't
Stop. No.
support it.
No. What you've just accidentally done is stumbled upon the fallacy. An argument that is inherently correct, that has been used with a fallacious part for the reasoning for the argument. If you were to call fallacy on that and say, your argument that horses run has a fallacy within it, therefore is false. That's the fallacy. To state that an argument that is inherently correct is in fact not correct simply because a fallacy has been used within the argument. In other words, an argument can still be true even though a fallacy has been used within it, but it has to be shown to be true within the process of the argumentation for it to stand true even with a fallacy being used within the process. You can't just call it not true because a fallacy has been used. You've accidentally stumbled upon that. So no, someone can still beg the question in their statement, in the form, and still have it be true, even though they beg the question of the outcome. In other words, I could beg the question, well, if Earth's flat, and then move on to detail how an elevation angle measurement works. Someone could turn around and say, well, your statement started off with the premise that Earth was flat. Yeah, it did, didn't it? But then I went on to prove it, so who cares? It's not a begging the question fallacy. There's no fallacious reasoning.
That was my point.
Okay,
It's the
thanks.
second
It's
part
just
of your sentence that's important. Okay, so you can
oh,
you then go on and provide, but what we don't have is if Earth is a ball, yeah, then the sun will rise. Well, the sun does rise, but that doesn't prove Earth's a ball. And these are the points with the begging the questions. When they do that, they go off and then make a statement that doesn't prove the first statement, that doesn't support it.
Okay, I understand better. Thanks for the clarification. Yeah, because I was just feeling that as soon as that first part of the question was out, that's when someone would say you're begging the question, and then it basically cuts off the second half. But your clarification is good. Thank you.
It just means assuming the outcome. If the outcome is that the Earth is a sphere, starting the statement, if the Earth is a sphere, is assuming the outcome, aka begging the question.
And they're great at that.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, thanks.
But with my very, very stable computer, I can say this is actually the end for the outro and reality for the live show. So thank you for watching this extended live show. I've managed to test my computer and my kids come in and played a bit of Grand Theft Auto, stressing it, and it's all perfectly happy, which is great. Alleviating my stress one more notch, as it's been massively undervolted. But thank you for staying tuned. 115 people watching. Wonderful. However, if you are watching on an after show, this is the real beginning of the actual after show. So there will still be a bit afterwards, after this live stream's ended, and you've seen the outro, and then it's actually ended for the live people. If you're watching on an after show recording, stay tuned. There will be an after show to follow. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making the live section of this possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
I had to look it up. So it's a farina wheat that's in cream of wheat. And that, we don't have cream of wheat over here.
Oh, self-respecting Southerner would ever eat cream of wheat.
Wheat. Wheat.
Wheat. You too, you.
What is going on here?
Anyway, I now ignore Nicholas Pitts. I will not communicate with him until he gets his butt on the show.
So for a minute, we were going to go back to cream of wheat.
No, they were just asking in chat where he got it from. I said, I'll ask QE. Give me a question, I'll ask him, but then Humble H came in, so.
Isn't it obvious? QE is the serial flat earther. Come on.
Yeah, can we drop the corny jokes, please?
Corny?
Good one, Nathan. Good one.
Corny? I'm taking people through a maze right now.
It took me a second, but it's something corny.
I was wondering if you were going to try to find a way to use that word.
Well, I could do more, but I'd be accused of stalking you.
Oh boy.
This is all just chaff to move us away from the video that we've been covering.
Let's see, it didn't take long to get you to pile in. Or should I say pop in? I think the show you did yesterday is a standout with that comparison with heliocentrism and Scientology.
Me too.
I
I love
do
it.
too. So heartbreaking. It's got to let
No,
hardly
give
any
it time.
views.
Give it time.
They'll catch on, Nathan. They'll catch on. Or catch up, I should say.
But it doesn't encourage me to do another video on Scientology. Let's put it that way.
You didn't. You did a contrast to heliocentrism using Scientology. Now, next time you'll do a contrast with heliocentrism using something else. So,
Hey, somebody said in chat that you might get an angry message from Tom Cruise. I said, you ain't kidding. He might. Gets a hold of this. Tom Cruise may give you a ring.
Maybe. I don't think so.
I doubt it.
I've got more things to worry about. But your average Scientologist is very much kept isolated from certain aspects of internet use that would preclude them from ever coming across us, more so than your average Joe's precluded.
Yeah, but not when it comes to when it comes to saying something about it or coming against it. They come after you.
All right, come after me.
Okay, what are they going to do? Come after me and say, there really is a sky vacuum? And I go, that's a second law of thermodynamics violation. Like I would to a heliocentrist. It's like we're taking on NASA. Do you think Scientology scares me?
Did you see Tom Cruise in his last movie, Maverick? Fly by and shoot you right out of England.
Like I say, Neil, Scientology, by comparison to the entirety of the Western world who think they're on a sphere, I'm not too concerned, honestly.
Yeah, but they're not concerned either because they know it's a long haul before people start really paying attention. Which lately, with the last conversation I had, my brother's very, very depressing because I thought we're, gaining ground. It seems like nobody's hearing anything.
It's a tough subject, Neil. It's cognitive dissonance. It's all the years of programming that have to be undone. Who wants to take that on when you can go fishing?
It's slightly different, and your Scientologist knows it's a religion, okay, and it's part of their religion. I think the difference is with your baller, they don't realize they've been indoctrinated into a religious cult.
That's a good point. You're right.
Yeah, it's a harder spell to break. It's harder to convince someone they've been deceived than it is to deceive them, isn't it? And that's the kind of stage you're at.
Because it's not brought up as belief, it's not brought up as religion, it's brought up as this is fact. This is the world you live in. Check the poster, right? Ooh, put some water in a bucket. Ooh, look. These are all the things that prove that we live on that poster.
Yeah, but
That's
chocolate.
it.
Yeah, but chocolate. You tell them to look into it, though. Just look into those things, and that's what I did. Told them look into it. I gave them the channel to look up and listen to some videos. And if you're not going to look into it and question it, then you're going to be stuck in the sauce.
You don't gotta be stuck in anything. Keep on your way. Have a good day. Go find something to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to listen to us. You don't have to pay this any mind. But why is it that you do? And why is it so difficult for you? It's because is it because it's fucking with your programming? Maybe a little bit. Maybe.
That's my son, but my younger brother, he doesn't know. So he thinks everything's been settled. What are you talking about? It's been debunked. I've seen these Netflix videos and National Geographic. So with him, I'm telling him to look into it a little deeper.
Neil, if someone's not interested, don't bring it up. And if they've told you they don't want to look into it, then
he's interested.
I totally
agree. That's what I'm saying. That's why I gave him the videos. He is
fair enough.
interested.
But the point Tenth is making, I still want to reiterate, and though it's not true in your instance. Yeah, don't. What's the purpose? What are you trying to achieve? What's the end game when you do that to somebody else? What's in it for you? Ruining their day? Is that it?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't get involved in that. That's why I leave my son alone. He's in pain. I realize that. But my younger brother was asking questions and making statements, so I had to address it.
One of the lessons that Morpheus gives to Neo, really early on, is most people are so hopelessly immersed in the system that they will fight to protect it. No point trying to wake those people up. Don't waste your time.
Look at what parents.
Hopelessly
Yeah,
dependent on the system too.
He may be one of them. He may fit that bill exactly. So we'll see.
Look at what parents have to go through, or grandparents. You know, if you're on the panel and you have kids, you know what I'm going to say. You do your best with your history, your maturity, your wisdom, your discernment, because you made all the mistakes. I made mistakes growing up. We all did. And you care for your kids and you want to say, hey, this is the lay of the land. Be careful of this. Bad company corrupts, blah, 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 blah. Kids either listen or don't. And so you've got tremendous heartache when children don't listen to wise counsel and go hang around and wrong people and do wrong things. I mean, to the point of losing their life, losing their limbs, losing their mind on drugs that destroy their mind. And here's a parent right there saying, I want to have a conversation. The world's a dangerous place. Let me tell you how to navigate it. You be you, though, but be careful of this. Be careful of that. Now, if they're not going to listen to their parents on those subjects, flat Earth and globe Earth is small compared to that.
Okay, then. With that, I'm going to say another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.